Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Infinite Frontier Damian Wayne Robin, and this is the gold label Unmasked variation. This is McFarlane Toy Store exclusive. I was a little bit annoyed how they handled this bundle. Originally, you had to get both this and the masked version of the Infinite Frontier Robin in order to get this exclusive figure, and I was a little annoyed as I had already made arrangements to get that figure elsewhere. But you know what? If that's what I gotta do to get the exclusive figure, I'm willing to pay the price. So I ended up pre-ordering 3 of those bundles, even though I already had the masked Damian Wayne. I wanted one of these guys to keep unopened, one to open, and one to take that head to make a civilian Damian Wayne. But I didn't want to get the other 3 regular Robins. But you know what? There's a price I had to pay. They were pretty cheap with the bundle. And then months later, they offer this bundle of the Unmasked Sarah Batman and the Unmasked Damian together. I wouldn't have ordered all those unnecessary figures if I knew I could do just this. But that being said, I'm still happy to have this guy. I'll just end up with a bunch of extra figures that I have to try to unload somehow. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus. This is a McFarlane gold label collection figure. DC Multiverse, Robin Unmasked. Here he is in the package. He has a sword, display stand, and a collector's card. One side of the package, Robin Unmasked from Infinite Frontier. Other side simply says Robin Unmasked. The bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that somehow happens to help somebody. And on the back side, here's Robin posed up on a gargoyle with his sword. So no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting 2 of these figures. I got one to keep as is, and then the other one I'm going to take the head off and try to make a civilian Damian Wayne since he has the mask off. I'm going to be getting another one with a future bundle, and that's going to be the one that I keep unopened. And here are all 3 variations of the Infinite Frontier Robin. The one with the mask on, the unmasked version, and the unpainted Platinum Chase variation. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, and then a sword, or a katana. But before we take a look at those accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Damian Wayne as Robin. He's in his newer costume, the gray and black costume from Infinite Frontier. He's trying to get away from the traditional red and green Robin costume. This is an unmasked variant, and he's a McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, gold label variant. So let's take a look. Start with his head here. You know, looks better than expected. He does have the side-eye thing going to the left, but it looks less cartoony than I expected, and the head is not as big as I thought it was going to be. So that should help me make a civilian Damian Wayne. Here's wavy, looks pretty good. Sculpting detail's nice. Eyebrows, face, it looks good. He doesn't have that weird expression the original Damian Wayne had, and I'm thankful for that. Going further down, you can see his hood is down. I prefer the hood down look on an action figure. Cape black, yellow on the inside. Double jointed elbows. Double jointed knees. You can see different texturing on the different parts of the suit. He's got a soft goods overlay, this gray part on top of the articulation underneath. Robin logo in black. A little bit of the traditional red and green on his costume and the yellow. Overall, pretty good looking figure, and just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Yes, the side-eye thing's a little annoying, but it's not that bad. He does have his right eyebrow sort of cocked up. It does kind of work with the side-eye thing going on. I'm happy he doesn't have that crazy unique expression the first Damian Wayne had. I wasn't a big fan of that. Now let's take a look at his accessories. Let's start with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black perfect circle. It says a DC at the bottom. It's got one peg for the peg holes on his feet. It's very thin. Very basic. Now let's take a look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of this Damian Wayne figure. He's holding a sword. He has his mask off. Robin Unmasked from Infinite Frontier. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Here's the Unmasked Infinite Frontiers Collector's card on the left, next to the Masked Standard version on the right, then next to the Platinum Chase Unpainted Artist Proof Variations Collector's card, and here, next to the original red and green Damian Wayne's Collector's card. Now let's look at his sword. As you can see, the handle here, nice sculpt and detail where you grip it there. And then going up, nice silver blade, comes to a point at the top. Here's Damian holding his sword. And the handle is big enough for him to hold it with two different hands, but he only has one gripping hand, his right hand. His left hand is a fist. And as you guys probably remember from the beginning of the video, I did get an extra one of these unmasked Damian Waynes to open. That way I can take his head off and try to make Damian Wayne in civilian attire. So let's go ahead and try just that. So I pulled out my bag of children, or teenagers, and these were three bodies I thought might work for a good Damian Wayne civilian base. Forget who these characters actually are, but they're in regular clothing, and their size is about right. Harry Potter and Ron Weasley are a little bit too big next to Damian Wayne. So, I'm going to try head swapping with each of these figures. Funny thing is, these are all from McFarlane Toys as well. So I brought some water to a boil, dipped each one of these figures in there and took their heads off. The pegs came out with the heads, and I took the pegs out and put them back into their necks. The pegs may not be usable with Damian's head, but we'll find out shortly. Now I'm leaning more toward the Stranger Things figure, as his height is very similar to Damian. But whichever one looks best with the head is what I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Here's Damian Wayne onto the Stranger Things mic body. I think this looks really good, and this guy's height is exactly even with the Infinite Frontier Damian Wayne. Here's Damian's head on the McFarlane Harry Potter body. It also looks pretty good. And here it is on Ron Weasley's body. Head sits a little bit too low, but I can always adjust that with a different peg. I'm leaning toward the Stranger Things figure at this point, so I decided to go with this body. This is Mike from Stranger Things. This figure is also by McFarlane Toys. There are a lot of reasons I chose this body. The biggest influencer was his height. This guy is scaled up exactly the same height as the Infinite Frontier Robin, and that was important to me. The skin tones match, and the outfit is just some regular clothing for a regular day Damian Wayne. My runner-up choice would have been Harry Potter. I feel like Ron Weasley is a little bit too thick. Damian looks to be a lot slimmer. At least that's how the figure looks to me. Overall, I'm pleased. I had to use some sticky tack on the neck, as the peg didn't quite fit. I used Damian's peg, had to flip it upside down. Might be able to come up with something a little better, but it works very well for now. Damian Wayne in civilian attire, checked off my list. Here are all four variations of my Infinite Frontier Damian Wayne Robin. 3 of them are actual releases: the masked version, the unmasked version, and the unpainted version. And then I have my custom Damian Wayne civilian attire, and I'm extremely pleased with how it came out. I was worried the head was going to be too big or too cartoony, but you know what? It works great. 2 thumbs up. Very happy. Exactly what I hoped to do. Worked out perfect. Now this may not be exactly relevant to the unmasked Damian Wayne, but I was kind of curious what it would look like if you head swapped the original release with the Infinite Frontier release. Here's how that head swap looks. I'd say it's a little bit better on the original Damian with the black mask. The expression is normal, kind of improves that figure. On the new one, it's kind of cool having that sour expression, but the green mask just doesn't look right with the rest of the outfit. Still, it's a pretty cool head swap, both of them. Now that they're taking a pretty good look at both the figure, his accessories, and some head swaps, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 6.1 inches tall, which can translate to about 15.5 centimeters. Damian Wayne is about 13 years old, so I feel like maybe he's just a tiny bit taller than he should be. He's 6.1 inches tall. Most of the Batman figures are about 7.1 inches tall. I don't think Damian is that tall in the comics. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, you're going to rotate from side to side. You can look up about that far, down about that far. Not bad. You can tilt his head from one side to the other, giving a good amount of personality. Shoulders, ball joints, Goes out about 90 degrees, maybe a little more if you push it. Mine's very tight, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increasing the range of motion there a little bit. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that, they go all the way in. His wrist, it's got a ball in it, but it's hidden very nicely under the glove. Can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Soft goods overlay. Now, his waist, no problem, rotate around, forward and back. He does have more articulation in his torso, but most of it just bounces right back and doesn't really hold the pose. So it's essentially useless here, but you can get a good amount down here. Legs, completely does the splits. They're ball joints. Rotation, minimal. Legs go forward about that far. Back, not too much. Double jointed knees below that. Then his ankle here. Forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. Here's Damian Wayne in his room in Wayne Manor. Here's the Rebirth Batman and the Infinite Frontier Robin in the Batcave in front of the Batcomputer. Then, on a rooftop overlooking Gotham City. Here are all four of Batman's different Robins in their current identities and their current costumes. Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, and Robin. Now let's check them out next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Then we'll check them out next to a bunch of other Damian Wayne figures, and then a bunch of action figures from different various companies. Here's the Unmasked Infinite Frontier Damian next to the masked version. Then, next to the unpainted artist-proof Platinum Chase variant of the Infinite Frontier Robin. And here, with the standard Rebirth version of Damian Wayne. Here are all four of McFarlane's Damian Wayne Robin figures. I must say, me personally, my favorite is the one on the left, as I much prefer the red and green costume to his new one. Although I much prefer the more normal expression on the Infinite Frontier Robin. Here he is, next to Grifter. Grifter is the only other McFarlane DC Multiverse figure that's specifically labeled Infinite Frontier. And then, next to the Rebirth Batman, probably the most appropriate McFarlane Batman to pair up this Robin with. Now, here he is next to several different Batman figures. These are all from the modern comics. And here, with several more Batman figures, also from the comics. Then, next to even more Batman figures. These are from different various forms of media. Now let's check them out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Unmasked figures. And I'll show you what I turned some of them into. Here he is, next to the Unmasked Zur-En-Arrh Batman. This guy's also a McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Gold Label edition. These are the only McFarlane Toy Store exclusives so far. I got an extra one of that Batman, and made Bruce Wayne in a business suit. Here's the Unmasked Batman Beyond Batwoman. I bought an extra one of this figure, but haven't actually done anything with her yet. This head could make for a great Lois Lane. Could also potentially work for Selina Kyle. A buddy of mine is making me a Ratcatcher 2 with this head. Can't wait for that to be done. And here he is, with the Unmasked Drifter from the Batman. The Unmasked Drifter had sort of a dirty head. I head swapped him with the Unmasked Batman here, put the dirty head on this Batman, and took the clean head, and made a Robert Pattinson Bruce Wayne. I need to repaint this or try to remove the eye makeup, but I'm still pretty happy with it as is. Here he is, next to the Unmasked Catwoman from the Batman. I was unable to do anything extra with this figure, as they ruined any opportunity by leaving the mask on the top of the head. I would have loved to have made this Selina Kyle in civilian attire. Here's the Entertainment Earth exclusive Unmasked Ben Affleck Batman from Zack Snyder's Justice League. With that figure, I made another Bruce Wayne in business suit. Here's the Unmasked Batman Beyond Shriek. And with him, I made Walter Shrev. His real identity as a scientist. Here's the Unmasked Jason Todd. Red Hood without the helmet on. And with that figure, I got an extra to make Jason Todd in civilian attire. Then, next to the Unmasked Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad. And with that figure, I made Christopher Smith in civilian attire. The likeness is not that great on John Cena. You could find a Mattel wrestling figure and put the head on this body and have a much more convincing Christopher Smith. And here's the Unmasked Bloodsport from the Suicide Squad. And with him, I made Robert Duvall in civilian attire. And finally, we have the Unmasked Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman. I believe this is the first of their unmasked figures. And with him, I made Thomas Wayne in a business suit. Here are all the Unmasked figures McFarlane has released so far. And I say bring on some more. Can't wait to make some more civilians. I'm a sucker for heroes and villains out of their traditional outfits in normal clothing. McFarlane also made some Unmasked figures in their Batman 1966 classic TV series line. And with these guys, I also made Edward Nygma, Bruce Wayne, and Dick Grayson in civilian attire. Now, this Dick Grayson body is way too small. He looks like a midget. I haven't gotten around to finding a new body for him yet, although I've got a couple of ideas. Here's Damian, next to some older members of the McFarlane Bat family. Then, next to some newer Bat family releases from McFarlane. Now let's check him out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the two most recent Mega figures, Man-Bat and Killer Croc. Then, with the Batman vs. Hush 2-pack. And here he is, next to Ghostmaker and the single release of Hush. And here, next to the Crime Syndicate's Ultraman and Superwoman. Then, next to Tim Drake Red Robin and the John Kent Superboy. And here, next to the Batman Who Laughs dressed as Batman and the Entertainment Earth exclusive glow-in-the-dark Batman Beyond. Then, with the Arkham Knight and Grifter. Here's Robin next to the comic Godspeed and the TV series Flash. Then, with the most recent Injustice 2 figures, Reverse Flash and Green Arrow. And here, next to the Walmart exclusive Wally West Flash and all gold Anti-Crisis Wonder Woman. And finally, next to the gold label Proper Mask Catwoman from the Batman and the gold label variation of the Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman. Now let's check them out, next to some other Damian Wayne action figures. Here are all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Damian Wayne figures they've made. And here, next to all the DC Direct and DC Collectibles Damian Wayne figures. Then, next to an ArtFX Damian Wayne statue. And here he is, next to my Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Damian figures. Then, next to a custom Damian Wayne I made many years before they made their first Robin figure. And here's this unmasked Damian Wayne, next to two different Damian Wayne and civilian attire figures that I made. One is a 7-inch scale, and one's a smaller 6-inch scale. Here are all the different Damian Wayne figures that I have. He has gotten quite a bit of love in the action figure world at this point. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. Of course, Damian's going to be a little bit shorter, as he's only 13. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here he is, next to some Jazzwares 4-net figures. Overall, it's a pretty nice Damian Wayne Robin figure. Although I'm not as big on this costume as I am his more traditional looking costume, it's still his current modern costume. I also would prefer the masked version if I had to pick just one of these guys. What appealed to me about this guy is the fact that I was going to be able to make Damian Wayne civilian attire, and it worked perfect. This guy's accessory is okay, the sword. Articulation is pretty much everything you'd expect from a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure, and it is improved off the original Damian Wayne release. Sculpt and paint job are pretty good. Side eyes are kind of annoying, but they're not too bad on this guy. I think the unmasked face looks pretty good. Better than I expected. If I were to rate this figure, I'd probably give him a 6.5 out of 10 as is. But the fact that I was able to make the civilian I wanted, I'm going to give this guy a 7.5 out of 10. Really enjoying this figure. Really enjoying my Damian Wayne in civilian attire. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.